So, let's see, April 18th, I posted the Blue Ridge Mountains cover. So that cover was it was an absolute pain to make, and it was quite the experience. So I wanted to make a video talking about my experience going through that whole thing and making the cover. It's long, though it's a lot to talk about, so I'm going to split it into 3 parts. This will be a 3-part series. This is part 1. I'm going to split it by instrument. So this is going to be about piano and drums. Part 2 will be about voice, and part 3 will be about the guitar. So, all right. Let's get started with part 1. Piano. Let's see, April 27th, 2020. Yeah, that was last year, over a year ago now. How I picked out this song, I didn't. On that day, my brother sent me a link to this song. I'd never heard of it before. And he asked me what I thought of it. And he's like, he said, perhaps this will be your next project? I'm like, okay. I mean, I didn't mind the song, so I was like, yeah, sure, I guess it could be, So, and then I was listening to, like, the intro is obviously guitar, so I was listening to the first solo, the do 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 do, that part, and I was like, is that piano? Are you sure? He's like, yeah, that's keyboard. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're not using a piano sound. I'm not sure. But it didn't sound like piano to me. I was just like, all right, I'll take your word for it, And you could kind of hear that solo repeated, mostly repeated. And you can hear a couple other spots that comes up in the song. Or a few other spots that comes up outside of that. But other than that, there wasn't much to it, and I was like, okay, I think I could just pluck this out by ear. So I started listening to the solo and started plucking out the notes. And then I was listening to the song, and like I said, there isn't that much piano in it, so I'm like, I feel like there's probably a lot going on behind the scenes that I'm not really hearing very well. So I should probably look up some sheet music. So, all the sheet music I found was in E minor. And with the notes I had plucked out, which were C sharp, F sharp, D sharp, and B natural, just B, is not E minor. So I'm just like, I don't know why these are in E minor. And then I found a site that had the sheet music where you could choose the key you wanted in, and then you could just buy that key and print it out. I'm like, cool. So I talked to my brother, I got him on the phone, and he's strumming on the guitar to the song, and we're trying to figure out what key it's in, because, if you look at this, these keys here, you can see the B sharp shows up here, and the D sharp doesn't come in until here, so it's one of these 3 keys. C sharp minor, it's got the F, C, and D in it, and then the just regular B, not sharp. So it's got to be the C sharp minor, the G sharp minor, or the D sharp minor. It's got to be one of these 3 keys. So, he's trying to figure out what key it's in, and he knows the keys, more about keys than I do. So he's like, it's a G sharp minor. I'm like, are you sure it's not in C sharp minor or something? He's like, no, I think it's G sharp minor, not C sharp minor. I'm like, okay. So let's see, I was looking at the key options that the website had, and it didn't have G sharp minor. And we're like, oh, okay, why would you not have what the song is actually in? Whatever. And I looked everywhere. It just wasn't in there, Like, okay, so I asked him what key we should get it in, and he suggested G minor because he said it was a half step lower, and it hadn't been decided who was going to do the singing yet, and if he was going to do it, it would be easier for him to sing if it was a half step lower. I'm like, okay, sure. So I bought the G minor version, and you know, I have a keyboard that can swap keys, so I just raised it all a half step, and now I'm playing G minor, and now it's sounding like G sharp minor. We're good, right? So I I bought the sheet music on June 7th. So if you're following along, that's, over a month later. And I was doing some other piano stuff at the time that I was trying to finish up. So I didn't actually get started on it until like over a month after that, which was on July 13th. So in the learning books I have done so far, I have only played, I think, 2 arpeggiated chords. And I'll show you what it looks like in a minute if you don't know. And it was just like one in each song. So I have very little experience with arpeggiated chords. And this song, the intro is 29 arpeggiated chords in a row. So yeah, that was a fun little challenge. So you can see that. Here's the first page. So that's the arpeggiated chord, the little squiggle next to the chord. You know, you go broom, 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 broom. Yeah, so that was fun. But yeah, it really it wasn't too bad. I got the hang of it, and I learned it all. And so 7:13 to 7:21. It wasn't too long, a couple weeks or whatever that is. And then I started learning the first solo after the intro, the do 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 do. So I started learning that, and I'm trying to follow the sheet music here, and wow, that solo part is absolutely impossible. I was just like, I don't know how I'm supposed to play it. The bass line was here. I'll show you. The bass line was already impossible, but then you get the just the right hand alone wasn't possible. I was not even considering the left hand. So anyway, here's that solo part. So you can see the right hand, how it's got, I have them crossed out, but if you kind of ignore that, you can see how it's turned all of these into chords. And then you can see the bass line is just full of notes. It is just like, I knew that I was never going to be able to play it together. But I was just trying to get the right hand, and worry about the left later. And even just the right hand is just impossible. Playing those chords and stuff, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to actually get it. So I was looking up covers. How do other people do this? Surely somebody else has bought the sheet music and played this song, right? Wrong. Or at least they didn't post about it. So I was looking up like every cover I found was playing much easier than this sheet music says. So, I'm like, okay, that doesn't help. I'm just like, okay. So I was just like, all right, I guess I'll just keep trying. So anyway, so that was, so we're almost a month later now. It's August 13th. And, the whole time I'm trying to convince myself that the key is G sharp minor, right? And I'm just like, yeah, it sounded off. But I was like, no. He said it was G sharp minor, so that's what it is. And then August 13th, I was just like, I really don't think this is in G sharp minor. Like these notes that I'm playing are not a half step off from the notes of the song. Like they're just not. So I'm just like, okay, just throw out the idea of G sharp minor and just listen to the song and pluck out the notes. And I did, and I compared them to the notes that I was playing, and it is 4 half steps off. I found out that it is in D sharp minor. If you remember, D sharp minor was one of the three options it could be. So let's see what I do. Yeah, so it wasn't D sharp minor, and then they did have that option on the website, so I rebought the sheet music, and so I had to relearn the whole intro, and then I restarted learning the impossible first solo. Fun. And I sent my brother the new sheet music, because it has guitar tabs, if you notice. It has guitar tabs on there. Or not tabs, chord diagrams for the guitar. So you know what chords are being played. So I relearned the first solo that was impossible, and I just stuck. I didn't know what to do. Like I said, for the millionth time, it's impossible. I didn't know what to do. So I started asking people. Like there's a piano player friend I have who's been playing piano forever. And I was like, surely he can play this and tell me, how to play this dang thing. I'm like, just like, can you just record yourself playing this and then like I can see what you're doing? Because I honestly do not know how to play this. So I asked a bunch of people, and I did not get a single answer I wanted. So I wasn't happy with what I got. So I started looking up live performances. How does the real piano player do it in this, right? And as I started looking up live performances, I realized that, yeah, the piano player is playing, and they're, the videos don't put a lot of focus on the piano player a lot, but I think the main sound you're hearing is actually a guitar. Maybe the piano is playing at the same time to help fill it out or something, but I feel like you're mostly hearing the guitar. And I don't know, and then the piano part, like when I was looking up like all the shots in the live performances just getting of the piano player, it just did not look that complicated. And then the sheet music is just way more complicated than what I was seeing in the live performances. So I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about what the advice that the 4 people I'd asked had given me, and I finally accepted the fact that the sheet music, it's made up. Like maybe this Robin Pecknold guy wrote it, but this is not what the piano player in the band is playing for this song. I came to the conclusion that what's going on is this is piano sheet music. They're expecting that only the piano is the instrument, and they're adding in a bunch of stuff to make it sound more interesting because the piano part isn't complicated enough on its own. So once I finally came to that conclusion and accepted that the sheet music was made up, I finally started taking some of the advice I got, and I was like, well, if this is made up, I guess I can make up whatever I want. So I started modifying the sheet music. Did I miss anything? No. I'm good. So I'm going to show you what I modified here. All right. Let's see. The intro I didn't touch. They're just a bunch of arpeggiated chords. They play the exact same chords as the guitar. And I decided, this is my piano adventure. So I might as well just play the piano there too. We'll just have 2 instruments going at once. Why not? So the intro I didn't touch. The rest of the song, that first solo part starts here, and then it goes into the verses. So I thought that I'm not holding this up very well. I thought the left hand, you can see there's tons of notes here, I thought it would sound stupid. And maybe I'm wrong, but I asked my piano friend, and he thought it probably would sound kind of dumb too. And I have other instruments going, like drums and guitar and stuff. So I decided, I think he said he would just cut it all out, but I decided to leave some of it in. I decided to, instead of just having all these billions of notes, I just make it half notes, just half, all the way through the verses, just make them all half notes. Easy, right? And then for the, like the little solo parts, like this, where you have like this one down here and you repeat this part, I don't know, like 3 times or something, you know, a little bit modified, but it's basically repeated. They have a bunch of notes added in to make these chords. So my piano friend told me that he would just cut those out because that's not what you hear in the song. So just play what the song is playing. And I was like, all right, that makes sense to me. So I just cut out all the extra chords. You can see they were added here too. Cut those out. Made the left hand half notes. I just did that all the way through both verses. And yeah, that pretty much covers the verses. The Sean part, so the part that's, you know, Sean, don't get careless, I'm sure it'll be fine. So the first chord in here is kind of part of the solo that goes right into it, so I cut out the extra notes in there and left it a single note. But other than that, I left the Sean part alone. And then after the Sean part, you have, you go into the little like solo part that's like the before the chorus, the do 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 do. So that part is in the sheet music. It's there. You can see that they added extra notes again, so I just cut those out. And then the bass notes, they have extra notes, and I cut out the extra stuff and just, again, I just kept it half notes. I just kept it simple. And if you listen to the chorus, you'll hear this other part being played. It goes like do 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 do. Well, that part is not even in the sheet music. I'm like, oh man, I feel like that part needs to be there. Like it adds, you know, an important part to an important sound to the song. And if you listen to the first chorus, like that's the only part in there, you know, that I'm saying is the piano. That's the only part that that doesn't come until later, you know. So I'm like, that has to be there. It's a critical part of the chorus. So I plucked out those notes. You can see I wrote them. I mean, this obviously isn't where they're played, but I wrote them here. I just labeled them A and B. This part was already here is labeled C, and then when you go into the chorus, I just wrote in which parts of the chorus had which parts, because the parts, they come in at different times. It's not always clean cut. They'll come in at different times and exit at different times. So I had to write in when they all were. But the chorus, you can see they just flood it with notes again on the right and left hand. It doesn't sound anything like that in the song. And since I added in that extra part that they didn't do, the do 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 do, I just said forget all this. I just cut out all those notes, all of them. And I said I was just going to play the do 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 because that's what the song's doing. So that was that. And then the second time it goes to the chorus, they add in, I'd have to re-listen to it, but at some point in the chorus, you know, they do it twice. So at some point in the chorus, they add in the do 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 playing at the same time as the do 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 do. So that was also going to be there. Another reason to just not have any of these. And then there was yet another extra part that I thought it sounded a little different than the other parts. And to me, it kind of felt like it needed to be guitar. So I asked the guitar player if he could do it, and he said he was fine with it. So that was off to him. It was, how did it go? I just listened to it before this, and I can't remember it anymore. But I know it's there. Okay, I can't remember it anymore. There it is. Yeah, it's do 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 do. So that's, if you listen, it's in the second chorus, is the second time through, like, you know, it does the chorus and then it has the terrible child section, and then it does the chorus again, and then it has the last terrible child section and the ending of the song. So if you listen to the second round of the chorus after the first terrible child section, you know, the terrible in my child, you'll hear that part come in. Do 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 do. It's hard to hear, and I wasn't quite positive if I was hearing it right, so I had looked up covers of the song again and tried to get other people's thought interpretation of what it was doing. I got some ideas. I'm like, okay, I think this is what it's doing. So you can see what I did for that here. Yeah, do 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 do. And you see it says second time only. It's only the second time through the whole chorus. But so that was that part. I had asked the guitar player to do it, and he recorded it, and it didn't sound anything like that. Like, I think he may have been, he must have thought I was talking about a different part or something, because what he heard was nothing like what I heard. So I don't know what happened, but he was busy, and I didn't want to bug him, so I was just like, I'll just do it myself. So I plucked it out, and I was going to use a guitar sound on my keyboard, and I decided against it, and so it was just another piano part. So anyway, let's move on. I talked about that way too long. Terrible child sections. So here's the first terrible child section. You can see they flood it with chords again. And again, it's just too much. It's not actually doing that, so I just turned it all into half notes again. And then at the bottom you can see I took out some flags and some dotted quarter notes to, I don't know, it was probably to like simplify the beat or something, to make it easier to play both hands or something. But anyway, the second terrible child section I didn't touch. It was fine. There was nothing weird about it. The left hand is what sounds like to me is the bass part, the bass guitar in the song. I thought that was pretty cool. I was playing bass guitar on the piano. Yeah, it was neat. So yeah, I think that covers all the modifications I did. Let's see what I have missed, where I'm at. I have no idea where I'm at. Okay, so anyway, by mid-October I could play the whole song. I'm not up to speed yet, and then there was page flipping going on, and I was just like, there's no way I'm going to be able to play this song and do page flipping at the same time. So I memorized the song to cut out the page flipping problem, and by December, so I don't know about you, but I've lost track of the timeline here. We were like in August 13th, I realized the key was wrong, and then by mid-October I could play the whole song, and then I memorized it so I didn't have to do page flipping, and then by December I could play the whole song up to speed. Now, a little asterisk there, because the extra parts that I added that weren't in the sheet music, the 2 extra parts, and then the one that is in the sheet music, the do-do-do, or no, the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, you know, I can't play all that together. No, I can't do that. So those I couldn't play together, but I could play all of them separate, and then the rest of the song I could play. So I could play the whole song up to speed, minus playing those together, and had it memorized by December. So you know, we're about half a year just to get that far. So at this point, I'm thinking about recording now, right? Because I've learned it, so I need to record it. So I had learned with piano that you should play repeated notes with separate fingers. You shouldn't, like, so if you look at the live performance, the piano player, he plays the do, 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 do. He plays that with one finger. You can do that, that's fine. But I was trying to play it with multiple fingers, so I didn't repeat notes with the same finger, you know, back to back. So it'd be like do, 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 you know? And it was freaking hard. And it was too hard to play at speed. I couldn't play it fast enough like that. I'm told that when you switch fingers, you can actually play faster, but I must not be good enough at piano yet for that to be the case, or this is too complicated or something, whatever. So I knew that I was just going to have to play that how I could play it. You know, not just one finger, I could use multiple, but I needed to do repeating with one finger for sure. And then, so yeah. And then another part I was having trouble with as far as recording goes is in the verses, in the first two verses, the singer doesn't sing exactly on beat all the time. So he sings off beat sometimes, and it was hard for me to figure out when to play my piano notes because they're just half notes, you know, on the left hand and stuff, and I was having a hard time. And then the right hand was just chords, and I was having a hard time figuring out, like, playing them at the right time. It's like, man, and there's no drums in the verses. Those come in later, like in the chorus. I was like, oh, like I need drums. So, you know, I got a drummer friend that I met in college. So I asked her if she was interested, sent her the song, sent her a couple of drum covers. I don't know what she needs. She's probably really good at drums, but whatever. I just sent her a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, all right, just like, I don't think the ending, the second Terrible Child section, or the intro need drums. But, you know, she can obviously give her opinion, and she can basically just do what she wants. I just want drums. I need a beat. And 2 days, she was done. Bam! Drums, done. I've been working on a piano part for like over 6 months, and the drums are done in 2 days flat. I'm like, good job. I hope you're not like too excited to see this done soon, because it's going to be a long time. But yeah, she got that done really fast. She said she had a whole bunch of beats picked out, and in the end decided to keep it simple, and she just she added drums to the verses and changed up the beat and the rest of it, and yeah, so there you go, drums are done. So then I had a beat, and it was a lot easier, so I was pretty thankful for that. So now we're on, that was December 6th, so, you know, like a week after I had learned, memorized, got piano completely done. She got her drums done in 2 days. I added, wait. Oh yeah, so I need to actually record now, right? Okay, so I've never recorded before. I bought myself, I have a Zoom H6, which is a portable audio recorder. It doubles as an audio interface. So I was gonna hook that up to my computer and use some program to record stuff, you know, piano directly to the computer through the audio interface. So I know that Audacity is an audio editor, and it's free. So I installed that, and then my recorder, my audio interface, also came with two pieces of software. One was called Wavelab, which is also an audio editor. The other one's called Cubase, which is a DAW, a digital audio workstation. So it does audio editing plus, you know, a whole bunch more. And I looked up instructions for all three, and I was just gonna try and get the audio interface working with all three, and I don't know, go from there. So I couldn't get it working with Audacity right away, because when you plug in that recorder, just, you know, if you're ever using this recorder as an audio interface, when you plug it in, you have a choice to do multi-track or stereo. Based on previous experiences I'd had with just using the recorder, not as an audio interface, you know, my piano had been recorded in multiple tracks, so I thought multi-track was what I wanted, but I was wrong. That doesn't actually work. I don't really remember what it does. I think I looked it up. So anyway, what you want is stereo. So you choose that you're hooking it up as an audio interface, and then you choose stereo. And then if you look up the Audacity instructions for hooking up an audio interface, at that point it's all easy. It worked perfect. It wasn't even a problem. On the other hand, when you look up instructions for how to hook up an audio interface to Wavelab or Cubase, good luck. I couldn't figure it out. So since Audacity worked and I couldn't figure those two out, it seemed like it didn't even recognize that the audio interface was plugged into the computer. I just gave up. I was like, I'll worry about those software, programs another time. So I was going to use Audacity. Everything was going to be audio. So my drum friend, I told her export it as audio. We're going to have no MIDI in this. So I was working. I can play the whole song up to the little solo part before the chorus. So I was like, okay, it'd be cool if I could just record all of that as one big piece, and then I can do all the rest in separate recordings, since I can't play them at, both my hands at the same time up to speed. So the problem is on the first solo, the do 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 do. I have really dry hands, skin, and the way I was playing the solo to try not to do repeated notes on the same finger, it kept slipping off this one note that I was playing, so I kept messing up the recording. And then another thing I kept messing up is on that solo. So you have the intro, and then the song pauses, and then the solo comes in. So you have to kind of like feel out, when do I start playing the solo, right at the right time, right? So sometimes I got it right at the right time, sometimes it was a little off, and you gotta play freaking 29 arpeggiated chords in a row perfectly and then mess up on the solo like 50 times. I'm like, this is stupid. So I recorded the intro separately, recorded the first solo part separately, and then recorded the two verses. I copy pasted the solo part. I recorded those two verses, the whole thing. Yeah, the whole thing as one chunk. And then I recorded all the other parts separate. Like each Terrible Child section was separate because it had to be with the way I did the other pieces separate, and I copy pasted. So, yeah. Let's see. So it's January 28th now. So 12/6 is when my friend got the guitar part to me. So January 28th, almost 2 months later, I had 7 piano pieces recorded. They all got recorded. On February 1st, I got them all lined up with the drums. Everything's in place, ready to go. Bam! Piano was done. I was so excited. Literally danced around the kitchen. It was great. Piano was done. It was an amazing moment. February 1st this year. It was done. So yeah, that was really great. And yeah, I think that's it. So I'll start on the next video, which is part 2, which will go over the voice.